of our discussion today is, will the real leaders stand up or take a knee? Decide. Commit. And I'm going to fish through a little bit, and because I need to bring you some verses, and I want to make sure that I got them. You know, I'm not playing y'all cheap. It isn't that I didn't have notes. I'm a believer in the personality of God called the Holy Spirit. Right. The personality of God. Now notice the words that I'm going to use, because people will pick that together, will pick that apart. But I was a 17-year-old father that experienced. My children grew up the majority of the time in two different households, right? One of them in the 1500 block of West Grand. I cannot claim pure poverty, but I can say that my parents, they did all right the best they could, you know. But sometimes when folks don't teach you how to manage money, even when you have okay money coming in, right, it can be difficult. So I didn't have I always say I've been a bubble person. And that's been a blessing, because I've been able to fit in many different areas, and I'm going to give you a little bit of that right now, just so I lay out so folks don't immediately say, oh, he's a racist. Right. Now, I'm going to use terms. That I know those of you who are knowledgeable people in the room, you're going to be like, that means this, that means, but I'm not going to get overly intellectual with it. Because one thing I've learned through wisdom, all that sounds good to us, but that gets 10 people in the room. Right. So we got to start breaking that thing down in a way that I might use some terms that might be, for us, a little disrespectful, right? But to those folks who are listening in, they'll be able to receive it. Because one thing about faith of any type, any sort of belief, if it's just from the root, right? From, everybody know, you know what I mean, if it's your from, right, or from, yeah, absolutely. So I'm covering everybody. I'm saying if you are a believer, then we have a responsibility, right, to stand up for some things or take a knee. Right. In a sense, and I'm not pointing fingers and saying, oh, you're not doing it. We're all doing some wonderful things. Trust me, if there's nothing but you staying home raising your children, I'm not pointing my finger. Right. And I won't go through the thing of telling you should not watch the game, but I must be clear about where I've been and why I've been there, because there's not an emotional thing to this for me. There's a science to this. Right. There's a science to this. And folks try to separate belief and science. Those things are not separate. Those things are faith, spirituality, and science go together. You can't have one without the other. So for today, let me lead in again by saying I was a 17-year-old father. I'm going to run down on this really, really quickly, okay? It's not sour grapes. See, I got to say that. Because ordinarily people used to hearing people, I've been incarcerated. So that's why I'm setting up for folks who've been incarcerated. Right? I was a teenage father, and it went bad for me. So that's why folks are setting up for teenage fathers. Right? I was super duper poor. So that's why I'm setting up for poor people. Right? I've never been around white people and they're not treating me well, so that's why I'm standing up for white people. I've never been around police officers and they treated me badly, so that's why I'm standing up for police officers. Guess what? I've been favored in all environments. Absolutely. So I tell the story that said I was a 17-year-old father, because it's not sour grapes. So as folks, detractors would look and say, oh, he's bitter. Not bitter at all. I've had a pretty good life. I'm not a rich man, but I don't need a whole lot for folks because I have a okay house for me. It doesn't have a mortgage. That's not a brag. That's not a brag. That's a freedom plan. Right. So that you can speak freely. Somebody tore my STS, my infrared Cadillac up. It would have been wonderful. I could have gone back and bought another Cadillac. Not a new one. I'm not a liar. I ain't that kind of money. Right? But I could have went back and got a very nice one that would have looked good to everybody else. But that's a set of $1,500 tires. You can't get knockoffs. Right. So I drive a Prius. Okay. That's how I afford to speak freely. Right. Now, so that's not sour grapes. My Prius is running well. Right. It's solid. I don't owe nobody for that either. Right. I don't owe nobody for that. What's up? So it's not sour grapes. I'm not the average black man that didn't do well. See, when we argue with extremes, when we bring brothers up and we say, he had 100 keys in the trunk, but you didn't have a right to check his trunk, that invalidates our argument. So I'm not speaking to the fact that those brothers have histories and things happen to lead people in that direction. I'm not going to go there today. Okay. I'm not going to go there because you allow folks to detract away from you. What I'll talk about is perhaps that child that did its best, but was still discriminated against. Not the best and didn't survive, but was doing everything right and doing well, and folks still came at them. Okay? That's what, because there's no debate over that.
Okay, true.
So my son had a law firm, Walton Brown. Opened it opened it by itself, then took on a partner, a young sister from here, right? They happened to go to grade school together. He ran into her in Columbus, like, oh man, now I need to be clear and transparent that my son deals with police shooting cases as well. And he uses personal injury to pay for that. So he didn't detract, oh, his son is personal injury. First off, do you understand how much it costs for an independent autopsy? How is he to pay for that? One cost him $10,000. My son is not a wealthy man just because he owns a business. You need to understand, I have 2 young grandchildren. He has a wife. He has a house. He's got cars. He's got everything everybody else has, and he don't have $10,000 extra dollars. But the commitment in him, because he comes from a seed,
right,
that comes from a seed,
right,
has a requirement.
Yeah.
So his requirement is that he give back and serve in a noble and honest way. So I want to be clear about that. And my son also, along with that, he also represents some police officers.
Yeah.
See that balance? He represents some. Now, most of them are discrimination cases, right? But he does represent, and they're not all black people. He represents a white woman, I believe, and some other people or some other folks in there. You know, I went online and looked it up. My son is crazy in integrity. I was trying to get him to give me some intel. He's like, Dad, that would be unethical. Right? I'm like, boy, I'm your daddy. Right? But you can look at public record, go look at it. Absolutely. And I'm not talking bad about it. I am friend of most police if they're about right or anything right. Most of them would tell you, I'm not a hated guy by the police. They love me.
right.
If they're righteous, I love them back. If they're wrong, I still got love for them, but it will not temper how I fight.
Say it.
See, that's the confusion. I work with young people and young adults, and we cannot have a weak connection to faith.
That's right. Right.
And folks see us as strong enough to follow. It can't happen. And I'm not twisting I'm telling you that, folks may not have known it, but the last 7 or 8 years, I'm not certain, I lost count, but I've been through the Bible 7 or 8 times in entirety. And I don't mean reading verses, I mean studying. The initial 5 years, I wasn't even allowed to read another book. So I didn't read Jakes, and I'm doing to Jakes. I don't follow nobody else like that. I just don't do that. That's not my energy. Right? If my piece is better, I'll pitch that piece, and if you like it, you'll buy it. Period. That's just me. I'm not knocking over. You might love this, great and wonderful, and I'm going to give you a verse that's going to help you understand that right there, how wonderful that really is, if that's what you want to do. But so me going through the Word, you know, the Bible, and I'll come from that perspective today. Okay, I'll come from that perspective because I've had experience in many different areas. Look, some of my best friends are Nation Islam.
All right.
Some of my best friends are black nationalists. Some of my best friends, I'm going with the list. Okay? Some of my best friends are those folks. Some of my best friends are police officers.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and I'm not knocking, I'm not saying that they lack courage, but they don't have to admit it right now, because when I come out, I don't drag people with me. That ain't what I do. I understand that there are consequences to truth speak. See, this is a joke. We caught up on what people say. On how would it come out their mouth? Well, you sure did say this. That's called a pep rally. At what point in time do we get in the game? So, as folks are clapping, when you say this and you say that, as I tell you my stories, and that's how it breaks, it's the truth. Right? It's the truth. I do youth ministry work with a mostly old and Caucasian church. And then, but a couple, no, I didn't take myself there. I wasn't looking for that. My self-esteem don't need that kind of self-assurance. God led me there, and I fought it. Just because I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to, it wasn't just, I just want to do no youth ministry. Right? I ain't fit to do that. I'm like, what? He kept leading me there. Kept leading me there, so I end up there and able to continue to work with and take young people all over the place. So I do work. That's not a brag. I do work. We just got back from Toledo, 4 days on a mission trip. Right? 2 college tours. Right? 4 days in between. But within the first 2 days, we've done 4 mission activities, 1 at hospice, one at Beach House Family Shelter, one at what was it? Food for Thought, where we packed bags and sandwiches and things for folks who were out and about. We got a chance to interact with people at hospitals. See, we do work. I'm not just a talker. And that's not a brag, but you got to understand this is not sour grapes, right? I've sat on multi-million-dollar boards, not I, but God. So I'm not bragging. But I got to tell you this, or you'll say it's sour grapes. That's what we do. We say, surely this person can't be a believer enough that he would risk all of that just because it's the right thing to do. Folks don't want to hear that. But yes, there are still people who exist like that. It would be better off for me. I would be a shoo-in because politically I'm well liked, respected. I'm going to say respected. I don't know if everybody like me. Everybody don't have to like you. Black folks are too often look for everybody to like them. You know, or for them to dislike them. We don't need for them to like us or dislike us. We need people to respect us.
Right.
We don't have to like or dislike one another. I don't leave us out of it. I give it to everybody. We need to respect one another.
Right.
That's what it takes. So all of this I've been able to do some things. So I'm okay. Let me just start with that, because when you go other places, people try to figure out, well, what's the matter? He must be disgruntled. No, I'm not disgruntled. I'm quite well.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I just happen to be free.
Right.
Say it.
Yes.
See, I am box and bridge ready. What does that mean? I'm cool with the Prius,
Right.
but if it stops and I can't get it done right now, I'm gonna backpack on the bus. That don't mean that I'm Sean Walden.
Right.
It don't matter who I am, it matters whose I am.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That's what it boils down to. So, and I say box and bridge ready, I mean, if I should be in a box, don't feel badly for me.
Right.
That's just who I am. And I'll do my best not to whine too loudly, because sometimes asking people to make a choice, to stand up for something or take a knee,
Right.
right? Sometimes that's it. When you criticize some folks who are your friends, I'm not talking to you if you're not wrong.
Right.
But if you're wrong, I am talking to you, not out of hatred, but out of love, because I can't love you and lie to you at the same time. I can't do that.
Yes, sir.
And one thing is, for the young folk, understand, old school young folk, my heart don't pump no slushy. And I'm not scaring anybody, anything like that. I'm just not built like that. God made me a steel spine man that just happens to be compassionate. The flip side of that, with the passion you see, the kindness you see, if you're not a believer, that's okay. But understand that other side, be glad that I'm a believer.
Right.
Because that other side, kind of medieval.
Say
Right.
that. Say that.
That's what it is.
Right.
The 300 ain't said nothing.
Right.
It ain't that my heart don't understand. That's why I can relate to the brothers in the street that I know. I have rubbed elbows and kicked them with folks involved in underground economies and other things. Just good. I've also dealt with folks who are high, because I've had a Forrest Gump life. That was a blessing, so I can speak out. Now, here's the deal. What we miss, and I'll give you a verse later on that, what we miss is we think because we're where I am, I don't have as much money as I want, but I'm going to tell you, I was doing my phone. I probably got $10 million worth of intellectual capital. It's not that stuff to talk about. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a builder. I make stuff. I create stuff. I slogan stuff. I got skill sets. So I'm not out here because I'm disgruntled.
Right.
I've been tagged and touched for coveted positions in the city. And I have no bad things to say about that and them. Because guess what? They can run their house the way they want to run their house. It's up to us to build our own.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm never mad at that. Why are you not coming to my issue? Why are you not? How long are we going to be begging? So, all that, and I know y'all say I was a lot for that. Now, that was important. Understand what I'm telling you.
Right.
I know detractors. There is no disgruntledness. There is love. Somebody got to love a suffering people enough. And who better than a believer to love a suffering people? Now, I'm going to come from the Christian perspective, because so I need the rest of y'all to use your internal translation device to make it fit within your belief.
Right.
Now, if you're not a believer, we're not going to connect. We ain't got nothing to talk about. That's why when people say, I don't believe in none of that. I'm telling you, unless we're doing some ancestors or something. What brother tell me yesterday? Some people say ancestors. Some people say angels. I say ancestors. Right? Unless you can get to some of that somewhere, I'm going to just be honest with you. There is no connection. Not I, but God. I'm the Pied Piper when it comes to young people. I thought I would fall off when I hit 45. I'm still the Pied Piper with young adults, not because it's me, because I'm real and I'm genuine. And young people, so if you don't have young people who are willing to flock and roll with you, I'm just saying, watch criticizing what I'm going to share, because I'm only trying to help. So with that, I'm going to come from a Christian perspective, and I'm going to come from a believer's perspective, because with anybody else, there is no conversation. That's why we got to push believing in something greater than you, because if we just argue opinions, there is no solution. There's no end to that. There's an impossibility. For those who don't have faith but believe in bringing up arms, how can 14% of the people dominate 70% of people without a higher power? You sound like a fool. You outman and outgunned. And I'm going to speak harshly. I ain't saying to speak as kind as I usually do. So when I say you sound like a fool, don't get too mad at me. Okay, honestly, because the Bible says, look it up if you want to. You got Google like I'll give you all them. I'll give you a couple where they are. Look it up. See if I'm lying. I've been through it 7, maybe 8 times. I lost count. Okay, the Bible says, so be careful if you get too angry at me. Anybody. If you're a believer, the Bible says, telling a fool the truth is like taking cubs from a mother bear. It's a dangerous thing. And I recognize that when I stand up here, and I stand up here with a heavier heart than most people. A lot of folks love that camera. I thought about this for 2-3 days. Try to run away from it. Oh, don't go live. And it ain't about being afraid. Is I recognize y'all been talking about y'all gonna raise up. If we talk about this 12-year-old boy that got shot down and folks rolled out, you didn't rise up on that. You're not gonna rise up for me.
Right.
And I recognize I'm by myself. I'm okay with that.
Right. Yep.
So don't tell a lot of you to do anything other than that. You ain't losing no food over that. And I'm not mad at you for that.
Right.
But it's disrespectful to us to gonna lay it on the line for you to run your mouth like that. Because if you was gonna do it, you'd have been dead.
Right.
So because I don't react in a certain way and get on people and spout out things talking about what I'm gonna do to George Zimmerman and nothing happened.
Right.
Don't mean I'm less than a man. It only means that I'm a man of my word.
Okay.
And I ain't gonna say what I ain't gonna do. If I say I'm gonna bust you in the mouth, you're gonna taste the blood before the words get out of my mouth. And I'm not saying, oh, he's angry. No, I'm strong.
Right.
Because I'm one of the most kind and compassionate people you can ever meet. There's no people I wouldn't have. I work with young people of all races, all colors. My East End white kids love me sometimes outwardly more because they're not used to that. They've been programmed to believe that I'm a bad person, so they're excited. I work with young people of all colors, all of that. But guess what? I'm so black that literally, if I wear colorful kente cloth, I become invisible. I'm that kind of black.
Right.
So I don't have to be less black because I'm going to go over there and serve where God told me to serve.
Right.
And I walk in the room with a bunch of black kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, judge that. Romans 14. Here's why we're going to get rid of all that confusion. Right? Here's why I'm coming from the perspective that I am. Here's why I will not argue with my brother and sister on things that honestly, if we solved at the end of the day, it would not matter. Here's why, because see, I work with young people still. If you miss 2 years of working with them, you behind. Let me be real with you. I suggest to people, if you want to become relevant, work with some young people. I can't work with 300 because I can't have shared parenting with 300 kids. I can't be a good surrogate father or uncle to 300 kids. So therefore, I have to stand in the glorious shadows and work with 15 at a time, 14 at a time. Come to games, right? Talk about issues. Teach them about God, right? And the believer, teach them about the God in them. Teach them about themselves in the Bible. Uh-oh. Absolutely. We can't answer a call from our parents when we don't recognize the voice of our parents. And that's not a diss to nobody else. That's fact. And if you hate me for fact, you might not be a good person. Accept other believers who are weak in faith and don't argue with them about what they think is right or wrong. So if you think I'm wrong, that's cool. Roll with that. For instance, one person believes it's all right to eat anything. Another believes with a sensitive conscience. See, the key thing is a sensitive conscience. Well, eat only vegetables. Those who feel free to eat anything must not look down on those who do not. And those who do not eat certain foods must not condemn those who do, for God has accepted them. Who are you to condemn someone else's servants? And understand what I mean by servant. Okay, who we serve. I serve one master. I'm going to skip down to 5. In the same way, some think one day is more holy than another, while others think every day is alike. You should be fully convinced that which day you choose acceptable. I don't mean just choice. I mean internally, like, nobody could tell me I'm wrong about this. I done spent time in this. I done spent time, literally, I done spent prayer in this, meditation in this.
Right.
So don't be angry at me. Be angry at God, who told me to believe this. So I don't have to go through the rest of it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move to another piece so we can get there. I just want you to understand that clearly believers that will be angry at me for accepting and working with other folks who are believers, but we may not have the dots and dashes exactly the same, right? Biblically, it's wrong for me to try to convince them beyond what their conscience says.
Right.
That's biblically wrong. So, here we go. What is good, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it in your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing, and you say goodbye and have a good day. Stay warm and eat well. But then you don't give a person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. Now, someone may argue some people have faith and others have good deeds. But I say, how can you show me your faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds. You say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you. Even demons believe this. And they tremble and tear. How foolish. Can't you see that without good deeds, it's useless? That's James 2, 14 through 20. For those folks who are theologians, it's New Living Translation. You can, I'll bounce back between them just to make certain. But there's no sense, once again, we can't feed babies steak. Okay, we wonder why they turn their head away when you try to give them food. Right? Because the baby, remember the last time it choked on that stick you got. We're trying to deal with higher believer, higher spiritual concepts with babies. And I don't mean just children. I mean folks who aren't spiritually mature in that area. That's not a judgment. That's not a less than. That's a transitional period. That's where we all are. But we created in this raggedy flesh that makes us think it's okay. Stand up. I'd like for y'all to look around at one another. There's something to this. There's a science to this. Look around at one another. All right? I'd like for you to say something. Soon you'll be getting a t-shirt. That's how I eat. I'd like for you to say, you give me far too much credit. Look around at somebody. Don't just look at me.
Far too much credit.
Right?
Too much credit.
And yourself, not nearly enough.
And yourself.
Not nearly enough.
Don't have, and I want you to commit to that, because what I'm saying about, oh, Sean, you're a great guy. Oh, that's wonderful. I love what you're doing with the kids. I don't need pats on the back. We need hands in the game. All right? For the longest, we've had folks hollering, the British is coming, the British is coming. That's great. We need you to quit warning folks, and we need you to stop and pick up a musket. All right? The town cries, the time is over. Let me explain to you really quick. I'm going to wrap because I don't want to disrespect anybody else's time. If I could have 10 minutes of your time, is that okay? Is that all right? Okay, we good? Okay. I ain't going to keep you long, though, because there ain't no sense in beating you up with what's real. But I got to do that lead-in, because if I don't do that lead-in, trust me, I've been doing this long enough. I know where our loopholes are. All right? Got to do the lead-in. I have to tell folks why I'm coming from a biblical perspective out of respect. But like I said, use your internal, folks, use your internal translator to relate it to your set of beliefs. As long as you're a believer. Once again, if you're not a believer, ain't nothing we're going to be able to talk about because there's no guideline and no rule. All right. Colin Kaepernick takes the knee. Thank you. Not for hate or disrespect of a flag, but to hold a flag accountable for lives that they said they would protect. So, as a believer, this thing has risen to idolatry. Flat out idol worship. Let's look at Daniel. Let's look at Daniel. I'm just saying, what did the king say? The king said, okay, it's all good. I'm rolling with God at first, but when you hear the flute in the lair, you're supposed to fall down. You're supposed to fall in line. You're supposed to worship my idol. Now, the Bible does say follow the law of the land. However, it also lets you know unless it conflicts with the law of God. That's a checkmate. That's a checkmate all day long. All right, that's a checkmate all day long. All right, we can go on back to say, love thy neighbor as thyself. First, love God with all thy heart, my neighbor as all that's in violation. That's a checkmate. Unless, and I get it, I'm telling you, it's not that I'm not, and people say, well, the Bible says be afraid, be a slave, but they miss the fact that it also said, be a faithful slave, but it also said, if you can't get free. Folks don't tell you that. So I'm going to take you somewhere because the same people who are twisting this word are twisting that flag.
There you go.
And twisting what this really means. This is foul. When you raise it to a level that you hear people talking about, you say, well, there's an injustice in this country, right? There's some unfairness going on. And let's just make it clear and make it plain about what it is, okay? Let me tell you the story that can lead to a knee in the face of a flag. And I'm going to say ahead of time so I don't forget. Believers, those of you who are highly Christian, let's say Christian to the point that you still believe that, in all situations you must remain peaceful. But I'm not saying whether I agree or not. See, I don't get into that. I ask questions. For those of you who say that you remain peaceful in all situations, you should be the main one kneeling with Kaepernick. Because that's peaceful.
There you go.
Because when them young people get up off their knee, I work with them. I'm not saying they're going to win. I've told folks a long time ago, if we both watching folks who raise dogs, right? Let's say we walk in pit bulls. See, I go back and forth. I go from boardroom to absolutely. That's what I do. Let's say we walking dogs. You got 3 pits and you walking and they scratch. I got one dog, he's scrawny, right? But he got some fight in him. He just ain't never been in a fight, right? And he's scratching it. Our dogs are coming down the sidewalk, right? I told a high-ranking police officer this one day. I said, so long as you get your dogs who are mighty and powerful, and it's 3 of them, right? So long as you get your dogs, I'm going to get mine. We're going to get them. We got them. We walking with them, right? But if you lose control of your dogs, just going to tell you, I'm speaking out loud, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm not so certain, I'm telling a lie, Lord, let me tell the truth. I'm going to let my dog off the leash just so my dog can fight enough to die with some self-esteem. Right. That's the reality. Now, I ain't got to say it. I'm not inciting anything. I'm telling you, I work with these young people. We better know it. They are full up and filled up and feel like nobody's going to protect them. And when a man takes a knee, not a knee in hatred of anybody, but a knee for love of people, a knee for love, for trying the unjust killing. He didn't say, don't kill no black people no matter what. He didn't say, if you got a gun and point at the police and shoot, don't kill them. He's not unreasonable. What he said was, and he made it really, really clear, what he said was this right here. He said he was kneeling for the injustice of the wrongful killing of folks who didn't deserve to die. How do you disagree with that? As a believer, how do you can say, don't let your dog off the chain, stay stuck on that if you want to. Do you want me to lie to you? I'm not that type of thing. I gotta be honest with you. Somebody runs from my house, that wouldn't be the house to go into. But so how do we do that? So, tell you a quick story, and I want you to walk with me through this. There was a young man named Michael Bay. Yeah, that's right. Michael Bay. Everybody remember Michael Bay, 1994, right? Michael Bay goes to Singapore. He spray paints some cars. He commits vandalism. Singapore said, if you commit vandalism, everybody gets that butt whooped. Period. We're going to cane you, we bend you over, and we spank you. And it's going to cause some damage. President Clinton wrote a special letter, please give him, don't cane him. Right? They went crazy. Literally, they had special meetings of the government. Congress got together and we said, we got to come up with a plan so this guy doesn't get a whipping for something that he did. Folks was running across the White House line. We can't allow that. To this day, well, not to this day, 8 years later, Singapore was still trying to repair relations with the U.S. over whipping a young white boy. But you can ride up in Cleveland near a gazebo, a few feet from a young man that you say you think has a gun and is dangerous. No fool runs up somebody with a gun and you still in a car.
Right.
That's not even logical. But so this young man dies. Now, here's just the reality of the story. You handcuff his sister because she wants to comfort him. You tell her if she does not, you tell the mama if she does not calm down, you're going to arrest her. If she does not calm down after her child was shot, accidentally, you say, okay, I hear that, but you didn't give him CPR. So even if it was an accident at the start, it was the lack of value for human life, for black human life, that created the issue. The fact that you were there, you did not try to provide CPR. You did none of that. So it's not okay to whoop a young white boy's, but you can kill a 12-year-old black boy. Michael Bay was 18. So I say with you, I'm not against anybody who's for what's right. If you are a believer, I'm saying you got to stand for something.
Right.
If you don't want to take a knee, you got to stand for something. Economic boycott actually works, believe it or not. Okay, an NFL commercial, a Super Bowl commercial costs $167,000 a second. $5 million a 30-second commercial. They won't release the new stats very clearly because they know we had an impact last year. And I'm not knocking people who want to watch the game. Watch the game all you want, that's cool, get the jersey. That's fine, okay? No big deal. People say we spend too much. We're addicted to spending, but they're also addicted to our purchasing.
There you go.
So we have an advantage as a so-called victim. America's addicted to our purchasing. Wear the jersey all you want, but if you wear the jersey and watch the game, no big deal. I love y'all. I'll sit with y'all sometime. I didn't watch it all last year, didn't go to Super Bowl, but I will sit with my new cousin on the deck. But I won't watch the game. I'll sit with him in love. I will not turn my eyes to the game, not because my one not watching the game is going to make a difference, because it happens when you click that box on. It's not that that's going to make a difference, but guess who it'll make a difference to? Me. There's something that has happened to a people who have conditioned themselves to accept the killing of their children.
Right.
And I'm not saying that all our issues have to go back to children, but I am telling you this right here. And I'll close with this. The Bible says you do better to tie a millstone around your neck and dive into a sea than do his children wrong.
There you go.
That's word. So take this with you. Not angry, because it don't take being angry. There's a good reason to be angry. Ask yourself this, those folks who are not believers. Who are you? It ain't because we weak and stupid, but why are African Americans not incredibly angry? See, we ain't got to get angry, we got to do something. Getting angry, I got to calm down. So watch the game if you want to. But if you're going to watch the game, and it don't stir your soul enough as a believer,
There you go.
then it got to make you do something extraordinary. And all you had to do was not do something. This time, we didn't even ask you to leave your house. We just telling you, don't do something.
Right.
Don't watch the game. It don't even call it for a sweat or an activity. Just don't watch the game. But if you're not going to watch the game, no problem. Here's what I hope as a believer. I hope that your spirit is troubled. I want to trouble the water. I hope that you feel it in your spirit all the time. No justice, no peace. Stand up or take a knee. No justice, no peace. Stand up or take a knee. It's your responsibility as a believer.
All right, all right. Yes.
Let's give it up once again for our brother. Real. And today it should be easy to stand up. Now I want to introduce to you a sister who has been standing up. A strong sister, a beautiful sister, inwardly and outwardly. She's a part of Neighborhood Over Politics. This sister also goes out and runs for office, and next time my sister will win office too.
Yeah.
Because we need fighters in political offices. We need fighters for us in political offices because we are seeing gentrification taking place here on the west side. And the thing about it is that this gentrification, these type of plans happen 5 years in advance, and we never know anything about it. So please give our Sister Joelle Jones, a warm round of applause as we bring her up.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad. I feel like I've been talking to the choir here because I see a lot of familiar faces. I don't know if I can be as eloquent as my friend, but I do want to talk to you a little bit about the power of the vote. And maybe this message is not so much for some of the people here because I see you guys, you're very active. But perhaps this message is for someone you know. So when we talk about the power of the vote, often the power of the vote is associated with the advent of American politics, public policy. And what I want to do today is I want to challenge you to do away with that notion. The power of the vote is as ancient as the vote that Pontius Pilate asked during the time of Jesus Christ. It was the vote that Pontius Pilate sent to the people of Rome that made a decision to either free Barabbas or free Jesus Christ. The people chose to free Barabbas and to crucify Christ. That was done, my friends, with a mere vote. A vote. And we talk about voting, reaching our millennials, getting people involved in voting. And I think oftentimes when I talk with individuals that we don't understand, sometimes we don't understand how powerful it is and how far it reaches back. We talk about the vote. He mentioned it with Colin Kaepernick. It was a vote of NFL owners who made a decision that if a football player kneels during the time of the pledge, that they will lose their pay or be treated to other infractions that they feel are worthy. It was the power of the vote. So here we are today, dealing with leaders who make decisions on our behalf that either we have voted for by casting our ballot for them or voted for by not casting our ballot for them. Because what we need to see and what we understand is that the vote takes place regardless. And a no vote or a non-vote to not participate is as powerful as it is to participate. So I don't want to belabor this because we talk about this all the time, but as we approach November with the election, and more importantly, with the midterms, then a year from now, as we prepare ourselves to hear the word of those who decide to be the leaders of this nation, I ask myself and I ask you all, how do we reach our community? And that doesn't even mean knocking on doors. But how do you reach the people that you might have a margarita with? How do you reach the people that you might go to BW3s with? How do we engage the people closest to us in our inner circles that what they do matters. A Greek philosopher said, I'm just going to paraphrase this, thousands of years ago, he said that a man who does not do his duty of voting is a man not worthy of citizenship. I want you guys to hear that. Not worthy of citizenship. And what we have to understand that this is our duties as Americans. But first of all, what we got to understand is that we as African Americans, supposedly minorities, disenfranchised, are as much American as the next person.
That's right.
And one of the things I found, I'm not sure about you, in my conversations with people about the power of the vote, what does it matter to me? And so one of the things I would challenge myself with, and I'm challenging you with, is to help people in your inner circle understand that they are American. This is our country as much as it is Trump's country.
That's right.
Our people died here as well. Our people fought in the wars. Our people built the railroads. Our people built the roads. Our people built the White House for free. 372 years of free labor that this country still profits from.
That's right.
We have to understand first that we are Americans and stop acting like we're visitors in the land. I love Africa. Been there, visited there, would love to go back, maybe even die there. But today I'm an American citizen. And this is my duty and my responsibility. So I would challenge you all to, again, this power of the vote, we can, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party can do the get out the vote routine like we do every single year. And those numbers creep up a percentage or a percentage and a half every single time. Unless we have an outlier like Barack Obama. That's not the norm.
Right.
That's not the norm. The norm is everyday regular citizens who are not as charismatic as Barack Obama running for office. So how do we do this? In our inner circles, start to have the conversation about, yes, you are American. And one of the things that I think that really, this is just my opinion, there's no political science behind this. One of the things that I believe that has damaged us, our young people in voting, is the absence of civics in American education.
Right, right.
When you take away the knowledge, and the knowledge is not being taught at home, on how this country was built, be it good or bad, on how bills are passed, be it good or bad, people no longer connect with the information and no longer see value in their participation. So what I'm talking about is civic education among people in your inner circle. Simple things like that, simple acts like that can help move this nation. So we all know that we're facing, I'm not going to sit here and toe the Democratic agenda. I'm not going to toe the Republican agenda. What I want to toe is people being a participant in American democracy. And the most important thing that we have coming, that people don't think, but yes, it does impact you. It impacts how you drive. Whether you drive 41 miles an hour going down Salem Avenue until you get to Trotwood where the light is, where the red light is, or not. Every single decision that we make, whether we are aware of it or not, is impacted by who makes policy. And that's all voting is. It's our permission, our power to impact policy and how that policy will be legislated among our personal lives. So again, like I said, I know I'm talking to the choir here, but again, I just want to encourage everyone to work within your inner circle.
Right.
And that's how we increase the voting. We can talk about what happened in Ohio, in Alabama. African American women got out, and they voted. Only 30% of the electorate, but they cast 96% of the votes. We see what happened in the presidential election when some of us stayed home. And no offense, but white women went to the polls. We see what we have in office right now. We're coming up on some very important elections here in the state of Ohio. And people are going to knock on your doors and things like that. And I tell people this. I don't like any of the candidates. If you don't like the candidates, go into the ballot box and write your own name in.
Yeah.
The thing is to participate in the vote. The power of the vote. We have to do a better job as citizens, as friends, as family, as convincing our people that you do matter. If you didn't matter, then the Ohio Supreme Court just upheld June 11, 2018.
That's right.
That in the state of Ohio, if you don't vote in 2 consecutive elections,
Right.
that they have the right to purge your name from the voter rolls.
Right.
Doesn't make a difference how much your grandmother worked and didn't participate in Social Security because it wasn't available to housemaids. It doesn't matter how much your father worked or your grandparents worked, or your father who
Or you
suffered
got
from PTSD or incarcerated. But they're telling us, people voted them in, that if you don't vote, they have the right to take away your right to vote. So as we talk about, as we look at our candidates, I want to encourage everyone, I'm sure you guys already know, but for those who may be listening, pay close attention to your traditional races. The persons who uphold the laws that our congressional or state representatives put forth. Those are your Supreme Court candidates, your municipal judges. The traditional races, we oftentimes as a people often forget about those because they're not as well known and they don't make as much noise as a state representative or a president or a congressional candidate. But if we truly want to pay attention to what's happening in our nation, more importantly, what's happening in your backyard, check out who your traditional candidates are, what they stand for, and cast your vote appropriately.
Right.
I'm going to, we talk about voting, we talked about, you were so awesome, Sean. We talk about all the things that we do as far as social justice or upholding our democracy here in America. And sometimes the media will make you feel as though that you're wrong for standing up what's right? And the Bible said it. There's going to come a time that the things that are wrong seem right, and the things that are right seem wrong. And that's exactly where we are today.
That's right.
But I want to close with a quote that a man much more elegant than I said. Martin Luther King said, and we are not wrong. We are not wrong in what we are doing. If we are wrong, the Supreme Court of this nation is wrong. If we are wrong, the Constitution of the United States is wrong. If we are wrong, Almighty God is wrong. Please educate the people in your inner circle with the power of the vote.